Hope everyone's ready for a challenge. Soberoni of G&A Reviews here with a servant spotlight for the Count of Despair himself, Edmond Dantes. We will be examining his stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize him effectively, and an overall grade comparing him to how he stacks up to the other 5-star servants. I also have a guide out for the upcoming Prison Tower event as well, so do check that out right after this. Now, onto Dantes' stats. Dantes has a max HP of 12,177, which is higher than Jalter's or any other Avenger, but overall is one of the lowest HP stats in the game for a 5-star, with many 4-stars even beating him out. Fortunately, his 12,641 attack, while lower than Jalter's, is one of the top 5 attack stats in the game, currently beaten only by Kentucky. Now taking a look at his skills, Dantes' first skill is Steel Determination rank EX, which applies Ignore Invincibility for 1 turn, increases attack between 30 to 50% for 1 turn, and increases debuff resist between 14 to 32% for 3 turns, all depending on level. His second skill is Golden Rule rank A, which increases his Noble Phantasm gain between 20 to 50% for 3 turns, depending on level. And finally, his last skill is Wisdom from Desperation rank A, which decreases charge of an enemy, removes debuffs, and grants between 10 to 20 crit stars depending on level. Taking a look at his passives, he has Avenger rank A, which increases Noble Phantasm gain when receiving damage by 20%, but also decreases debuff resist of all allies except himself by 10%. He also has Oblivion Compensation rank B, which increases his crit strength by 8%, and Self-Recovery Mana rank D, which increases his Noble Phantasm gauge per turn by 3%. As for his deck and Noble Phantasm, Dantes has a light quick deck with quick, arts, buster, and a quick Noble Phantasm. His Noble Phantasm is Enfer Chateau d'If, which deals heavy damage to all enemies with between a 600 and 1000% damage modifier. It also decreases their defense for 3 turns between 20 to 40%, and inflicts curse for 5 turns between 500 and 1500, both depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at his cards, we see that his quick card hits 4 times, his arts hits twice, his buster hits 3 times, and his extra hits 5 times. He has a Noble Phantasm gain rate of 0.62% and a star rate of 5.9%. And that translates into some bad base Noble Phantasm gain due to only 1 2-hit arts card, but good star generating thanks to quick change potential with his Noble Phantasm, a 4-hit quick, and a 5-hit extra. Finally, our first Avenger is here, and with only a month before he'll be thrown to the dogs amidst the Jalter hype. But while he does have the spotlight, let's take a look and see if he deserves more credit than he gets. His skills are definitely strong. Golden Rule gives him a large 50% Noble Phantasm gain boost, and this is the same as Gil's Golden Rule, and this helps make up for his otherwise bad Noble Phantasm gain. Wisdom from Desperation is another good skill, and it pairs well with Golden Rule as it provides 20 crit stars to potentially further help Noble Phantasm gain if you can get some crits. On top of that though, it also cleanses all debuffs on you similar to Disengage, and also decreases enemy Noble Phantasm charge by 1. So it's a mix of Vampirism, Disengage, and Intuition. And this is Dantes' all-purpose utility skill, and it comes in handy for a number of different situations. Finally, Steel Determination is a powerful buff that gives Dante Invincibility Pierce and a 1-turn 50% attack buff. This helps a lot with Dantes' damage and ensures he hits through anything. It also provides a 32% debuff resist, which is decent, but it doesn't apply to the party, so it doesn't make up for the demerit on his passive. And speaking of passives, his are worth noting because Self-Recovery and Avenger are great since they further amplify his Noble Phantasm gain. Meanwhile, he also gets a form of independent action with Oblivion Compensation. Overall, your best bet is to level Steel Determination first to really help out his damage, followed by Golden Rule since he needs that Noble Phantasm gain pretty badly, and then finally Wisdom from Desperation since even at level 1 it's strong and all you get from leveling it is more crit stars. His skills are very good, and Dantes has a strong niche as a crit star generator. Thanks to his high hit counts, he can produce a lot of stars consistently, and his Noble Phantasm allows him to quick change. Speaking of his Noble Phantasm, it's an AoE quick, so it isn't that strong, but it does provide a nice amount of crit stars and decreases an enemy's defense. Dante's stats on paper are very contradictory, and that has both a positive and a negative. On the positive end, while his base Noble Phantasm gain is very low on paper, his Golden Rule, Noble Phantasm gain passives, and crits can turn him into a monster capable of Noble Phantasm spamming every other turn. But this is hard to pull off since it will require you to crit, and Dantes has extremely low star weight, which will make getting crit stars very difficult, even if he is capable of producing quite a few. To compound that negative, perhaps his biggest weakness is his very poor damage, especially on his Noble Phantasm. Yes, despite the large 50% attack buff and the monstrous 12,000 attack stat, you'll be unpleasantly surprised at his damage output. The major reasons are due to his quick deck and low Noble Phantasm damage modifier. Both of those severely dampen his damage. Also, as an Avenger, he only has class advantage against rulers, and there just aren't that many rulers out there. Class advantage is very important in Fate Grand Order, so not being able to fully utilize that like most servants can removes a large area of potential damage. Unless you're facing berserkers or rulers, just don't expect high damage from him, since all of it's going to be neutral and he has a quick base deck. And even when facing enemies he has class advantage against, he won't reach berserker tier damage, making his high attack stat misleading. To further complicate things, his HP is abysmal and he has no heals or evades or any means of survival, making him very fragile. When it comes to team comps, Dantes excels in quick and crit teams thanks to his good star gen and quick leaning deck. So pairing him with quick servants he can help provide stars for, like Okita, Ushi, Ku Prototype, Ann and Mary, the Serious Heroine X, Jack, and Astolfo are good choices. You can also use him as a crit star generator for art servants like Uriel, Orion, Nursery Rhyme, or Shiki, but be aware that his lack of arts cards can make your deck inconsistent in an arts team. If you want to use him offensively, then you should build him as a crit servant. This can be difficult given his very low star weight, but it's possible. Bryn can help him with her crit absorb skill, which also provides a heal, both of which help Dantes tremendously. Skyhawk and Atlanta can provide him with further star gen on top of giving him a very strong quick buff, and Caesar, Hans, and Waver can amplify his crit strength and overall damage. Finally, if you find Dante's survival to be an issue, then Nero Bride, Tamamo, Medialui, Hans, and David can help. Dante's Minecraft essence is Chateau d'Ave, which boosts quick card effectiveness of all allies by 15%, and this is a good craft essence to consider as it not only amplifies your team's quick damage but their star gen as well. You should also consider Imaginary Around, 2030, and Be Elegant if you're using Dantes as more of a crit star generator. For a more damage oriented approach, I recommend Seal Designation Enforcer above all else to ensure he can get the crit stars he needs for both damage and Noble Phantasm gain. Otherwise, After Lunch Order, Holy Night Sign, and Gudao, or Noisy Obsession if you don't have it, are all great too. Lastly, you can go full Noble Phantasm spam mode and use Prisma Cosmos or Little Halloween Devil. Overall, Dantes is a passable first entry into the Avenger class. He has a varied skill set and can be a good strong star generator. Of course, he's your only non-berserker answer to the ruler class in the game, and he has no weakness aside from berserkers, and if you can keep him supplied with crit stars, he can snowball pretty hard. But his low damage is hard to ignore. If you aren't giving him a steady supply of crit stars, it can be difficult to Noble Phantasm often enough, and of course, his survivability is very low with horrible HP and nothing to protect himself with. Overall, Dantes gets a C+ from me. He isn't horrible, but he's outweighed by some big cons and really only functions well in crit teams. If it weren't for the fact that he brings unique mechanics to the game as an Avenger that separate him from all the other servants, he would even be a little bit lower on the tier list. Speaking of which, I probably should address the elephant in the room and mention that Jalter is right around the corner, so her release time hurts Dantes more than anything else. It's just way better from a gameplay perspective to just save for Jalter, who outshines Dantes in almost every conceivable way. And those are my thoughts on Dantes, one of the most overlooked servants and not the best, but damn does he have some amazing animations. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and please check out the Prison Tower event guide, linked to both on screen right now and in the description. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over our Discord and follow us on Twitter. Also, we have a Twitch now, so do check that out, all linked in the description, and I'll see you all in the next Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.